Bubble and FlutterFlow are one of the most powerful no-code tools. So in this video, we will compare both of them so you know which tool to use for your specific case. And in case you want to learn any of these tools, you can find courses for both of them here on my channel. So without wasting any time, let's get into it. So before we get started on this video, I just want to share that we are going to be comparing 4 things between FlutterFlow and Bubble. So we will start with the user experience and how it feels building with these tools. Then we will move on to backend choices and what choices each of these tools gives you when it comes to your backend. And then we'll move to custom code. So if you need something custom that doesn't exist on these platforms, which of these platforms gives you access to add any feature that you like. And last but not least, we will talk about pricing so we can see what these tools provide us with and for which price do you do that. So please make sure to follow this video until the end so you can understand the difference between FlutterFlow and Bubble. So the first thing we will compare is user experience. So here I am actually opening a page or an app in FlutterFlow, and on the left side, as usual, you can find what we call here widgets, or elements that we use to build a whole page. And like when I click, for example, on this container here, if I go to the right side, I can change some of its properties, as you can see. So again, we have elements on the left and the properties on the right. So we have properties, actions, and all of the things. So again, we click on something and then we can change all of everything that is related to it on the right side. So this is like the user experience. This is how we love to use no-code tools. So this is what we have here in FlutterFlow. So in Bubble, it's similar here. So you see here on the left side, we can have like pop-ups, text. We can see our sidebar, center, taskbar. And if I click on the sidebar here, as you can see the name appears right now, and you can exchange, you can add content to it, you can change the height, the width, the position, the alignment, and even like here in FlutterFlow we have what we call actions. Here we have interactions, all right, so that are linked to the element you selected. So in terms of user experience, they are the same. So if you actually have, if you have built something with FlutterFlow and then you switch it to Bubble, you'll find it very easy to use, and vice versa. If you use Bubble before and then you decided to switch or use FlutterFlow for some projects, you'll find it very easy. So in terms of user experience, both of them wins. So now in terms of backend, that backend choices that these tools gives you. So if we go with FlutterFlow, the first thing we have is Firebase. So we can attach our Firebase project to our FlutterFlow project, which is kind of the default option in the FlutterFlow. But let's say you don't like to use Firebase, like me, I don't like that. So all you have to do is to go to the settings down below here, and then you can scroll down and choose Supabase. See here, you can choose Supabase, which is a totally different backend. So now FlutterFlow is giving you choices. You can either choose Firebase or go with Supabase. People will mostly use one of these things, all right? And if you want to go with offline things, like you want to build an offline app, yeah, go ahead and use SQLite, all right? So in terms of backend choices and databases, I guess, or I'm sure that FlutterFlow wins by so far. But how things look for Bubble? So when you go to Bubble and you go to your database, you see that you will be actually using their own or their built-in database. So here is where you will be saving your tasks and users, and depending on the app you are building, everything will be here. So you have your front end, like your app, and the data also lives here in bubble.io. So for some developers, this is a really bad idea, because for me as a developer, I would love to build my app right here on a no-code tool, but have my database here on Supabase, like elsewhere on Supabase. I like this way of building, but some other developers, like, they will love the convenience of having everything in one place. This doesn't mean that Bubble is bad, but it means that Bubble doesn't give you options. So if you actually are looking for a no-code tool to build a web app, but you want freedom of choice when it comes to backend, then Bubble is not going to be a good choice for you. All right, so this is the thing to know about Bubble. Next up, we have custom code. So custom code is a feature in no-code tools where, let's say, for example, you want to add something on this page, but FlutterFlow doesn't have it. It doesn't have it by default. So what you do, you make that thing, you make that new feature or that new widget. So you go with custom code. All right. So for example, I have a couple of functions here that does things that FlutterFlow natively cannot do. So FlutterFlow is basically telling you, hey, you can use our native features and native options and native functions, but in case you have something in mind that we actually didn't have, so it's cool. You can come here to the custom code, click plus, and add either a custom function, custom widget, custom action, or a code file. They are giving you all freedom. But when you go to Bubble, this is exactly where Bubble starts to not satisfy its users. So for example, I need something custom, like one of these functions, so I cannot add a custom code. So this is just an API connection, not a custom code, by the way. Some people look at this and think that this is custom code. No, this is just API connection. So again, if I come to Bubble and I want to make something like one of these functions or these actions below, like I can't do this. I cannot do this. So this is a huge downgrade for Bubble and a huge upgrade and a huge point and plus for FlutterFlow. So if you are building an app, like for most cases, you would definitely need to use some custom code, then FlutterFlow gives you all the options you need. So then when it comes to pricing, if you go with the FlutterFlow and individual and teams category, you'll find out that you can use it for free. It's obvious. And then you have the basic plan, which is $15. All right. For me, it's like $15 is almost like nothing compared to the value you are going to get for that. So let's say you pay this, you get APK, you can download code, APK, you can publish with one click and all of that things. All right, cool. And of course you see here that the pricing, like the more you pay, the more you get, and this is kind of what they like. All right. The most or more people are paying for the most because it has so many things. As you can see, it's like the price is not that much, to be honest with you, compared to the value you get by paying or using these plans. This price is it's very well underpriced. All right. So but when you switch up to Bubble, that's where it gets a bit crazy. See here that you will start how you have to be paying $59 per month. And the thing that the difference between the startup plan and the growth plan is huge. Like it's like 4 times the amount, almost like 4 times. But when you go to Bubble, like the scale is like, this is like you go from 15 to 32 and 32 to 60. It's like not that much. You see that the most expensive plan is still cheaper, like almost close to the first plan of Bubble. So of course this is taking into consideration you are building for web and mobile. But if we use web only, yeah, you see that we have the 29, which is still expensive than this one, and we have 119, which is still expensive than this one, and even this one. You see that for like a Bubble in general is way more expensive. All right, so you have to accept that. And if you are building something, a real app with this, if you make money from it, then you can cover this if you wish. So now that we have actually seen some of the differences between FlutterFlow and Bubble, the verdict is going to be, it's going to depend on your choice. So if you want to build a web app, then Bubble is going to be your best choice, because even though it does not have a lot of backend choices and it doesn't have custom code and it's a bit more expensive than FlutterFlow, building a web app with FlutterFlow is bad. It's not going to actually work. So if you want to build a web app, go with Bubble. That's the best option on the market. But if you want to build a mobile app, then you have to use FlutterFlow. Although Bubble has what they call mobile version, but I don't like it's working that much. So if you want to build a mobile app, then I would definitely recommend going with FlutterFlow. It's the best no-code tool for building mobile apps. And for whatever you choose, if you want to actually learn how to use that tool, I have actually 2 courses that you can see right here. And like these courses are for beginners. So if you want to actually learn FlutterFlow or Bubble, these courses are going to help you a lot, and they are free here on YouTube. So you can check them out in the description of this video, or go to my courses as I showed in the intro. Go to my courses on this channel and you will find them there. So go there, check them, learn as much as you like. And I will be actually making more courses about FlutterFlow and Bubble. So if you want to follow along, make sure to subscribe and I will notify you whenever I publish something new. So thanks so much for watching. Again, if you want to see those courses about FlutterFlow and Bubble so you can pick one of them, you will find them in the description down below.